Choosing a smartphone priced in the budget segment can be quite a daunting task, especially a gaming smartphone. There are a lot of models to choose from, and each one offers something slightly different from one another. For example, one gaming smartphone might have a better camera and usage overall, but the other runs a more powerful chipset and so forth. To make your life easier in choosing which model is right for you, we do comparo videos like this one, and today we'll be pitting two popular budget gaming smartphones against one another, the Infinix GT20 Pro and the TECNO Pova 6 Pro. Both of these phones are priced differently, with the Infinix GT20 Pro having an SRP of 15,999 pesos, while the TECNO Pova 6 Pro retails at 11,999 pesos. But does a more expensive phone mean a better phone? Well, I'm Jose from YugaTech, and let's find out in today's video. So, roll that OBB and let's get started. In terms of design, both the Infinix GT20 Pro and the TECNO Pova 6 Pro stand out compared to your typical smartphone. I mean, they are gaming phones after all. The two phones feature a design language inspired by that of gamers with a hint of neo-retro. As a result, you get these unique looking back panels that look something straight out of cyberpunk. Starting with the Infinix GT20 Pro, you have this nice looking back panel with the triple camera system on the upper left corner. But the main highlight of this phone is the half circle LED on the chassis, or as Infinix calls it, the Mecha Loop LED interface. It offers a nice visual treat whether you're playing music, receiving a call, or playing games, and you can even adjust the colors, patterns, and more in the setting. No doubt about it, it gives you a proper gamer aesthetic when you're holding this phone. Like the GT20 Pro, the TECNO Pova 6 Pro also features a similar design aesthetic. There is more writing on this one though, since you can see the exposed screws, the 6000 mAh battery size, and even the number 6, indicating that this is the Pova 6 Pro. It even has LED dynamic lighting to match, but features a Y-shaped pattern. However, it's not as big as the one on the GT20 Pro, and it's located inside the camera housing. It also doesn't have an RGB color scheme, meaning you're only left with the white color. Thankfully, you can also adjust the animation patterns in the settings. Both phones feature a plastic frame and back panel and have some protection as well. The GT20 Pro comes with an IP54 rating, while the Pova 6 Pro has a slightly lower IP53 rating for dust and slight water splashes. The only advantage that the Pova 6 Pro has over the GT20 Pro, at least in terms of construction, is that it comes with a 3.5mm audio port, which is kinda hard to find these days. Overall, the GT20 Pro takes it this round thanks to its more advanced LED lighting features and the higher IP54 rating. But still, you won't be let down by the design of the Pova 6 Pro. I'm sure you won't be using a case when you're using either of these phones. Moving on to the displays of the phones, and they're on somewhat equal footing here, at least on paper. Both the Infinix GT20 Pro and the TECNO Pova 6 Pro are equipped with a 6.78-inch AMOLED panel. These displays offer great viewing pleasure, and they do have nice viewing angles as well. Both also have 100% color coverage of DCI-P3. In terms of brightness, both phones have a peak brightness of 1300 nits. Makes you wonder if they're using the same display, right? But the difference between the two displays is the refresh rate. On the Infinix GT20 Pro, you have 144Hz refresh rate to work with, while the TECNO Pova 6 Pro only has 120. There's no question that both phones have smooth animation, especially when you're just going through the menu or simply watching videos. For gamers though, the difference in refresh rate does matter. With a faster 144Hz refresh rate, there's less motion blur, making fast-moving images appear sharper. This then provides a smoother, more enjoyable experience, especially in competitive gaming. We have an entire video on refresh rate and more, which you can watch here if you haven't, so at least you know more about refresh rate and the like. Interestingly, Infinix also incorporated a Pixelworks X5 display processor to boost visual or display performance. As for the speakers, both the GT20 Pro and the Pova 6 Pro come with dual speakers. The GT20 Pro speakers are tuned by JBL, and both phones are hi-res certified, but only the Pova 6 Pro has hi-res wireless audio. In terms of output, both are decent and loud, but the GT20 Pro does produce a better sound overall. The only advantage the Pova 6 Pro has is the audio port, allowing you to use your favorite pair of earphones or headphones. And so, the GT20 Pro takes another point in this comparo, mainly for its 144Hz refresh rate, which is not often found on budget smartphones. Moving on, we have the cameras. Both phones are equipped with a triple camera system for their rear main shooter. The Infinix GT20 Pro uses a 108MP Samsung ISOCELL HM6 main shooter, complemented by a 2MP macro lens and a 2MP depth sensors. Meanwhile, you have a 32MP sensor for the front cameras for your selfies. On the TECNO Pova 6 Pro, you also get a 108 megapixel main shooter, but uses a different sensor than the one on the GT20 Pro. It is then complemented by a 2 megapixel depth sensor and a third AI camera sensors. For selfies, you once again have a 32 megapixel shooter. In terms of output, they're somewhat evenly matched, with both phones producing sharp and clear images, especially in well-lit environments. However, the Pova 6 Pro appears to process the photos brighter and with more vibrance, giving it a more colorful look and feel and making them just look a lot more alive. Meanwhile, in the GT20 Pro, it has a more natural process, so you get that natural look and feel, making it look similar to what your eyes are actually seeing. You do have more effects to play with on the Pova 6 Pro though, and it has some AI camera features like Sky Shot. As for video, this is where the GT20 Pro does excel a lot more than the Pova 6 Pro. It can record up to 4K at 60 FPS, while the Pova 6 Pro is limited to 2K at 30 FPS. Both have stabilization features as well to help with handheld shooting. Even at 2K, the video captured by the Pova 6 Pro is nice, but it's still great to be able to shoot at 4K at 60 FPS using the GT20 Pro. They're great, especially in well-lit environments, but as I mentioned earlier, having 4K does have its benefits. And with that, the Infinix GT20 Pro takes another point in this comparison. In terms of performance, both smartphones run a MediaTek chipset. The Infinix GT20 Pro packs a more powerful Dimensity 8200 Ultimate processor, while the Pova 6 Pro uses a Dimensity 6080, which is a carryover from its predecessor. Our review units of the Infinix GT20 Pro and the Pova 6 Pro come with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage. The advantage that the Pova 6 Pro has is that it comes with expandable storage, so if you find 256GB lacking, you can expand it further via micro SD. However, the GT20 Pro does come with additional 12GB of extended memory or extended RAM. When it comes to real-world applications, both phones can run your everyday apps and even games like Genshin Impact without any issues. However, the benchmark scores tell an entirely different story. The GT20 Pro outperformed the Pova 6 Pro in almost all benchmark tests. In Antutu alone, the Pova 6 Pro recorded around 440,000, but the GT20 Pro scored 930,000. Even in 3D Mark Wildlife, the score differences are huge. 6,323 on the GT20 Pro versus 1,335 on the Pova 6 Pro. And with that, the Infinix GT20 Pro is sweeping this comparo so far. For OS, both phones run on Android 14, with the Infinix GT20 Pro skinned with XOS GTV14, while the TECNO Pova 6 Pro is skinned with iOS 14. Both have their unique quirks and even offer a bunch of game-focused optimizers. You can also choose the performance modes of the phone depending on what you're doing. Infinix does guarantee up to 2 years of updates, meaning up to Android 16, including all of the security updates in between. There's no mention of updates on the Pova 6 Pro, but it's expected to at least have one. In terms of connectivity, it's evenly matched since they have all the basics you need: dual band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NFC, and GPS. But that all changes when it comes to the battery. For the battery, the TECNO Pova 6 Pro has the advantage here. It features a larger 6,000 mAh battery pack, while the Infinix GT20 Pro comes with the standard 5,000 mAh pack. And based on our benchmarks, it does help a lot, that 1,000 mAh. In our PC Mark Work 3.0 battery life test, the Pova 6 Pro garnered a result of 14 hours and 12 minutes, while the GT20 Pro only lasted 12 hours and 19 minutes. In our video loop test, the former lasted 27 hours and 58 minutes, while the latter recorded only 23 hours and 48 minutes. For reference, both tests were done at 50% brightness on airplane mode and 0 volume. The GT20 Pro recorded a decent score, but it's outmatched by almost 2 hours by the TECNO Pova 6 Pro. Even in charging, the Pova 6 Pro outmatches the GT20 Pro with faster charging speeds of 70 watts compared to 45 watts. And with that, the Pova 6 Pro scores its first point in this matchup. Okay, so far the Infinix GT20 Pro sweep this comparison, but we have to talk about the price. The GT20 Pro comes with an SRP of 15,999 pesos, while the TECNO Pova 6 Pro starts at 11,999 pesos. The 4,000 peso difference might not be big for some, but for those on a tight budget, it matters a lot. Despite the price difference, our pick in this matchup is the GT20 Pro. It's greatly packaged, even though it is mainly aimed at gamers. Still, if you are on a budget, you can't go wrong with the Pova 6 Pro and its affordable price tag. And that about wraps up this comparo video. So, are you Team Infinix or Team TECNO for this matchup? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you find this video informative or just enjoyed it, do drop a like and subscribe to watch more. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And of course, visit yugatech.com to stay updated with the latest tech news and reviews. And of course, if you want to read our reviews of the Infinix GT20 Pro and the TECNO Pova 6 Pro, you can do so on the website. Once again, this has been Ase, and I'll catch you guys next time. Jane!